Hi everybody, this is Oksana and this is the pendant we're going to be making in this video, and I created this to teach you a few different techniques that may be helpful to you. This was kind of prompted by my previous tutorial, which was this one, if you've seen it, where when I was tucking this wire, kind of bending it around and then tucking it away in the back here, I said make sure it's high enough so you can tuck it away here where there's this gap and not, going across the stone, because then it's just going to end here where the stone is. And then I was thinking, well, why don't I show you a few techniques that you can use that might come in handy of what to do if you do want to bring a wire across your stone. This stone doesn't even have a gap up here like this one, because this is a teardrop point up, but you can use these techniques in other pendants, other designs. Just anytime you have your wires and you want them to just kind of swoop across the stone, and when they bend to the back, there's nowhere to tuck them away, there's no gap. So I want to show you two different techniques for getting rid of and kind of attaching those wires. The technique that I used up here, and then this technique here with the little loops. So you don't have to do them both like I did in this pendant. You can just choose your favorite and use that. But I just want to show you a way, because sometimes you want your wires to go across your stone. Maybe they're following a pattern of the stone, or you just want to make just like nice little lines. So hopefully this video will be helpful to you and teach you something new. So let's go ahead and get started. For our wires, we are going to be using 20 gauge square and 24 gauge half round dead soft copper wire from riogrande.com. And my stone is this Malachite-Chrysocolla. It's about 1.5 inches or almost 40 millimeters, maybe like 38 millimeters in height. But of course it doesn't have to be this exact size, just anywhere in that vicinity is fine, or other shapes would be okay too. We're going to start with 3 pieces of that 20 gauge square wire, and they are 12 inches long. Lining them up and finding the middle of them. I'm going to grab my half round wire, grab just the end of it, it's still connected to the spool, putting it the flat side down and the half rounded side facing me. I am just wrapping that little tail end around a few times there. And then once you start running out of it, you can just flip it over, continue with the wire that's still on the spool. Oop, mine is already a little bit twisted there. But what you want to do with that one, since it's connected to the spool, is you just guide it with one hand, and then you turn the base wires with the other hand, and that kind of coils or winds the thinner wire onto them like this. So you just want to do this for a little bit. It just connects the 3 wires together, and then you just want to trim the little ends here so that the wire ends are on the same side. So we'll trim that one, and then we'll trim this, and then you just want to push down and press down on the ends so they're not sticking up. And I just like to press down over the whole thing as well, like that. So now it depends on your stone shape. This will work for many different stone shapes. So mine is a teardrop. I'm going to position it this way. Could position it the other way. Can use an oval. Lots of different things. So this will be the bottom that's sitting here on the bottom of the frame where the little wire ends are. So I want to bend my frame to have just kind of like a little curve to go onto the bottom center. I'm kind of centering it here, and then I want the wires to just bend around my stone. It's going to form, kind of hard to do it in the air. It's good to do it on like a table It's going to form a little frame around your cabochon. Like this. Let me just see if that's still a little bit off center, as you can see. It's okay. I'm going to see if I can move that. That's why sometimes it's nice to do these little wraps for quite a long time. That way you can unravel some of it if you need to make it shorter on one side. But first I'll try to move the little wrap. See if I can move it towards the center there. All right, looks like that may have worked. Let's see. Yeah, that looks more centered, but maybe just a smidge more to this side. Just trying to push on it. You can use your hands or your pliers. You can also kind of reshape the frame, like unbend it and rebend it to make it a little bit more centered as well. I think that's looking better now. And we want the wires to not crisscross, to stay lined up like they are, and to come together here at the top. So if you have a stone that has a point at the top, like this one here, if you're doing also a teardrop, positioned point up, or a marquee shape, you want to leave a little gap up there for our bail wires that we're going to put through it later. All right, so now we can take our half round wire and just wrap it around all of these 6 wires, 3 from each side. So there's a total of 6 there. So just wrap it around a few times, get that nice and kind of connected so they don't come apart, and then take your pliers and push that little end through from back to front. You can kind of pull on it here and then just trim it basically as short as you can so it doesn't stick out and is not noticeable. And now we're going to go ahead and make our bail, which is going to be just the front 2 wires like this. We're going to bend them forward. The other wires, you can just separate them. There's 2 on each side, so you can just bend them onto their respective sides, and then keep wrapping with that same wire around just these 2 frontmost wires, which will be our bail. So I'm turning the piece and I'm guiding that half round wire, and I will do this until it's about 3/4 of an inch. That's kind of the ideal size that I like for my bails. Feel free to make yours a little bigger, a little smaller. So then you just want to trim that wire on the back side. So this is the front, the back right there, and then press down on that little wire end and just press across all of that wrap that we did there. And just like that. And now we can go ahead and bend this into our bail. Another thing that I just want to show you here that you can do when you're bending it, I just like to bend by hand. You can bend around something. So you can grab where this wrap is and you can bend the wires like that. So when you're shaping your bail, it just kind of automatically helps you shape it. So I'm just going to press down on that. I am going to push up on these wires here so they're going through that little gap that we left there. If you did not leave a gap there, then it will be hard to get your stone back in there. So you can see when I put my stone in there, it still fits, and those wires are in that gap that we had left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these wires, the leftmost wire, and bend it to the back. I'm not sure if there's enough space. So I'm just going to pop my stone back in and look. I don't think there's enough space to really tuck this wire end away. Normally you would trim and tuck it away. So what you can do instead is just tuck it away in another location. So what you can do instead is tuck it away into the bail. So I'm bringing it kind of up this way, and then I'm going to trim it here, and then you'll see kind of what happens to this little wire end. I'm going to just tuck that into the bail itself, since there isn't enough room to do otherwise. So you can see it in there. These wires are a little bit in the way, but I'm going to press down on that. And you don't want it to be so long that it pops out the other side. If it is, you can just trim it a little shorter so it doesn't pop out the other side. But basically that's it. It like hooks around the bail, and now it's not going to come undone. And we have, you know, preserved this shape, so our stone still fits into it. We still have this one more wire. You can theoretically just trim it, but I'm going to show you another thing that you can do with it. So I'm just going to kind of point it in this direction to the left like this, and now I'm going to go ahead and put my stone in there. So first I'm going to lock it in from the back by just bending some of those, just the most back two wires onto the stone. My stone's kind of popping out. That's okay. It's just not locked in yet. So here's one of the wires, and then here is the other wire. Like that. And now the front wires to lock that stone in. So just kind of wedge your pliers in there. Go down to the bottom here where that little wrap starts, and with our pliers we're going to make a little bend like this, and that is going to trap in that edge. And same thing here on the other side, trap that little edge in there. All right, so now we are going to work on these wires here. So first I'm going to take this wire and I'm going to just kind of curve it. So I'm bending it to the left and then curving it around to the right. You probably have seen me do this lots of times in other videos. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this next wire here. And just like that. All right, so this first wire, I'll just bend it to the back, and then this next wire, I'll bend it as well, like this. This wire here, I'm gonna tuck it away, but first I'm just gonna twist it by holding the wire and turning the piece. You don't have to do this, but with square wire, you can twist it for this effect, if you like that effect. So we are just going to bring it upwards here. I'm gonna trim it a little bit shorter, just so I can work with it easier. Because what I want to do is I want to take it and put it through the bail to attach it. So I just kind of curved it so it matches along with those other wires, as you can see there. And now I just tucked it through the bail and essentially just kind of wrapped it around to connect it. Now I'm going to trim and leave a little end that I can tuck into the bail. So that's just one way to kind of finish off this wire that originally came from the bail itself, if you remember. So I'm just pressing down on that little wire end. It's nice and short so it doesn't come through the other side. So here's what that looks like, and now we have these two wires. Feel free to twist any of them if you would like. So you have multiple options here. We can leave it like this, where they're just kind of going across the stone. We can curve them so they go in this other direction here, which is what I think I'm going to do. Just give them a little curve like that and bend them to the back. So there we go. Now all of the wires are going to end on the back, as I mentioned before, and now we just have to connect the wires. So I want to show you two different techniques. So normally you would, pick a technique and use one of them, not do what I'm doing, which is use both of the techniques, but I just really want to show them both to you. So with the top wires here, these two top wires, I'm going to show you one of the techniques, and with the bottom two, I'm going to show you the other one. So the first technique involves trimming them, but leaving an end. I'll show you guys. It's better if you leave an end that's a little bit longer and then trim it shorter later. So you can see that little wire end I left there, and the end is going to wrap around this wire here. And then this one is going to wrap around that other wire. So what you want to do is just kind of lift up these backmost wires and then take this and tuck it underneath like that. So same thing here. We're going to just lift up that back wire a little bit so we can take this and tuck it underneath it. And you can press it back down after, like that. All right, so now we're going to take that little end and we are going to raise it up. See that? So we're just kind of curving it up, and now we are curving it down. So we got rid of the wire end and connected it to the back wire. And same thing on this side, just gonna grab, raise, and just kind of curving it around there. See, it looks like a little hook or a little loop, and then we're just gonna close up that loop, press down on it so the wire end is going down kind of into the stone. Now with this method for connecting, finished off our wires, they're connected, it's all good, but you can kind of feel these as little bumps because they're a little bit raised. Now it's not sharp or anything, the wire end is tucked away, but it's just not very flat. This next technique takes a little bit longer, a little bit more tedious, but it allows you to have a flatter feel. So for the next technique, we are going to curve the wires instead. So curve them in such a way that they're just right next to these wires here in the back, because we're going to be attaching them with our half round wire. So cut yourself a piece of half round wire, just like a few inches long here, and we're going to be using that to attach. So what we're going to do first is just wrap around this single wire. I want this wrap to be up here, but it's easier for me to get here and then just move it up afterwards because there's nothing in my way here, so it's kind of easier to get it started, and then we'll just slide it up. All right, so I've wrapped it around. 4 times should be good. And then after you do that, you can just trim. And let's take that little end and kind of curve it down, press down on it, tuck it away. So now we are gonna slide that up. It's a little tricky because it's stuck here on this little corner here. That's okay, we'll get it around there. There we go. So let me just press on that wire end again. All right, so we moved it next to our wire. What we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap around the wire and what we're attaching it to, forming this. All right, and that attaches it. Now we can go back to wrapping around just this wire here. So let's do 4 times again, that should be good. And then we'll trim and tuck away that wire end. Trim. And while I'm trimming here, I'm also gonna trim this wire. Like that. So I'm gonna take this little wire end, tuck it away. Let's just bring this whole little section together like that. And then this one that I trimmed, just grab it with your pliers and curve it so that the wire end is touching the wire. Is touching the wire itself. So the wire end is going into the wire. Let me just press down on that a little bit. There we go, and just press down on this wire also. So now there's no wire end, it's almost just like a little loop. And then here on this side, we've attached both of these now. And this feels a little bit flatter than this attachment here. All right, so then here on this side, we are gonna do the same thing. We're gonna use the half round wire attachment method. So grabbing a little piece of it, wrapping it around a few times. Oops. All right, that should be good. Let's trim. Get rid of that little wire end. So I'm just taking that little wire end, tucking it away, and I'm just gonna slide this whole thing up. Oops. There we go. Now we can attach this other wire, so sliding it underneath this wire and the wire we're trying to attach, like that. And now just the wire that we're attaching to. 4 wraps again. You could do more, but I think at least 4, just so it doesn't unravel. All right, and now I'm gonna trim this one and trim this one too. And tuck away this little wire end, and then take this wire end and make it so the end of the wire is pointing into the wire itself. So creating a loop and kind of closing up that loop. So I'm just gonna press down on all of this, make sure it's nice and flat against the stone. Obviously it's gonna be a little raised here because that's the whole thing about this attachment method, is it creates little raised parts. But here it'll be flat. And here is the finished piece. So all of our wire ends have been hidden on the back, but they are also all, you know, neatly attached, and there's no wire ends sticking up or anything. And that is just 2 methods that you can use for that. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that it taught you something new. If you liked it, please leave me a like down below and don't forget to subscribe. I make new videos every weekend. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.